Hello YouTube, once again. This was an incredibly geeky intro, but I don't care. It's your boy Kerry Vishwanathan, and today we have another cool behind the scenes video of Keluarga. I wanted to talk to you about an interesting experience I had. This was actually the first time I've ever directed a 6-year-old in a video, in anything. And on top of all that, oh, okay. I didn't plan for this. The situation practically fell onto my lap. You know, as a filmmaker, sometimes you have to brace yourself for the unexpected, and this was one of those situations. As originally planned in the treatment, we were gonna have a huge family dinner scene. There's gonna be 10 to 15 extras. Ashley asked most of her friends and family to come to the set, and mostly everybody agreed, but you know, because of jobs and busy lives, only 2 people showed up on the day. James and his father Rama. So, the big family dinner scene became a tiny little intimate scene between 3 family members. I sort of knew in the back of my mind that when we were finding extras that there's a chance that there's going to be some kids in the video, so I prepared. While this was my first time directing a child, I have tons of experience working with children. I used to teach a filmmaking class to kids. I worked as a math tutor for an after-school program. I even worked as a teacher's helper at a nursery school for one summer. That one required a lot of stamina. So in developing these interpersonal skills with kids, I had a very good collaboration with James. We got along very well, and I learned a few useful tips along the way. Anywho, here are my 4 tips on how to direct a child non-actor.
Hi. Apa kabar?
It's very, very important to become friends with them. This is key in helping unlock their confidence and to get them relaxed. Build a rapport, establish trust. It's good to be personable, friendly, you know, talk to them about their favorite hobbies, their favorite sports, their favorite movies, their favorite TV shows. Do a funny voice if you want to. You can do a funny voice like this. A goofball sense of humor really helps. Ashley was really good with kids as well, so if your talent has a rapport with them, it goes a long way. Talk to them like an adult. Don't talk to them like they're younger than they actually are. Don't be like, hi, how are you? Are you ready to do the scene? Okay. It's annoying. Don't ever do that. Children are a lot more perceptive than you might think. Sometimes when a performer does something on impulse for the very first time, it's magical and you want to make sure you capture it. My approach to directing kids is similar to directing really beautiful sunsets, pets doing adorable things, or fire, or explosions. Sometimes you only have one shot of getting it, and if you don't get it, then you're in trouble. You're not in trouble, but that might never happen again. So it's important to be ready for it. The way we shot the scene is we set up the lights, we set up the camera, and then we brought James and Rama onto the set. We sat them down, after which I turned the camera on very nonchalantly. I didn't really tell them I turned the camera on, and then I just started talking them through what to do in the scene. Matt and I decided to shoot it like a documentary, a very run and gun style where we just shot as much coverage as we could for 30 minutes. Most of the time I didn't really tell the actors what to do in the scene and how to do it. I let the moments happen organically, so everything you see in the video was mainly improv, within the parameters of the story beats listed in the treatment. In working with a non-actor, you can't always expect to get a great performance on the first take. Sometimes it might take them time to relax and loosen up, and in those cases, you just have to be patient. But that's okay. Ideally, it's good to have 2 cameras on a music video so that way you can capture everything wide and everything in close-up all at once. We only had 1 camera on set. We made it work. For the master shots, we used a 35mm lens, and for close-ups and 2 shots, we used an 85mm lens. And then when I got to editing, I just grabbed the best 1 or 2 minutes of their performance, and I edited moments of happiness, of humor, family togetherness, etc., where you get something of a mosaic of moments and it feels sort of like flipping through a photo album. Can both of you lean a little bit closer, just a tiny bit closer? To each other, I mean? That's good, that's good. That's great, okay. And do some more masks? I tend to be very detail-oriented when giving direction, whether it's asking an actor to turn their head toward lens, or to move around in the frame until I find the composition I like. As long as you're nice about it, they'll be very cooperative. Sometimes you work with really nice kids, and sometimes they're a joy to work with, and they're angels, and there's nothing wrong. But the reality is that you cannot control a child 100%. Children are energetic. Some get bored really easily. Some of them have short attention spans. And some can be very mischievous. You have to be mindful of their stamina and their enthusiasm. I wasn't sure in working with James how much energy he had. I figured we had a small block of time before James actually got tired, so I made sure that we got everything as fast and efficiently as possible. I find it helpful not to impose authority on a kid. You shouldn't give direction like a demand or come off as overly controlling. Don't tell them, don't do this, don't do that. Don't look at the camera, don't smile, don't frown, don't say any of that because they're probably gonna either try really hard not to, and in which case it'll show and their performance will look kind of stilted, or if you pressure them or exhaust them too quickly, they're gonna get tired and probably not want to do the scene at all.
Why? We don't want this.
Compliments and showing enjoyment to your non-actors really goes a long way. Sometimes on set when I saw something that amused me, I just said something like, "Oh, that was so nice, that was great." That was funny, that was great. That was great. Oh, that's cute, I like that a lot. It's looking good so far, so. You're doing a great job. That sounds super nerdy, but I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. It's gonna loosen up your actors, they're gonna feel confident, and if you miss a moment, don't freak out, don't lament about it, don't be like, "Ugh!" Like, don't do that openly. Just be like, "Hey, I really like that moment you just did. You think you could do it again?" There's a moment when the three of them started playing patty cake, and I was like, this is a wonderful moment. The only problem was that we were in a two-shot with Ashley and James, so Rama wasn't in the shot, and I wasn't really happy with the framing. I told Matt to cut the camera, we switched to a 35, we went back and did a wide shot, and then I asked them to do the scene again in a very nice way. And they would do it again, and it would be even better than the first time. When you're having fun, they're having fun, and then when you two are having fun, the music video will turn out to be amazing.
Stop! Wait, wow!
It's good to give actors some props so they can have something to do and keep their minds preoccupied on the actual scene as opposed to sort of having them worry about pleasing the director or doing a good job acting. And again, bring any props that fit the scene. So as I mentioned in the previous video, we brought an angklung, and so once we started rolling, I told James, Rama, and Ashley to play with the angklung and, just get something going. They started, they got a little jazzed up, and then their familial dynamic started to develop, and then from there you just let the camera roll and see what developed. If you know what props you're using in advance, sometimes it helps to write a list of directions to give to your non-actors. So for example, I knew that we'd be using masks at some point, so I wrote down a list of directions, such as act silly, act like monsters, act like silly monsters. Got a lot of magic moments from that, especially this one. Using these guidelines really worked for me. We got a lot of great moments. James was pretty exhausted by the end and he wanted to go home.
I want to leave now.
We understood that because he's a kid and you want to respect kids and not overwork them. So we were happy to send him home. But then they decided to stay because James wanted to check out the cool film equipment. So we indulged him and he actually became a stand-in for one of the later scenes. Big shout out to James and Rama. You two were amazing. Thank you so much for your time. You two rocked it. If you feel like I've left something out in how to direct children, please leave me your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll know when my next video is coming. And I am peacing out. And I'll see you later in the next video. Coming soon to a laptop near you. I'm trying to make my DP laugh and it's not working. I get a shot of him with that. Oh,
Look at your monster face.
my monster face? My monster face.